So welcome. If you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, welcome. Please comment your thoughts on what I'm about to say. This is a quick video, and hopefully you'll find some benefits. So Aubrey Marcus has been running around the internet, YouTube, where a lot of young people, Gen Xers, are talking and deconstructing their feelings. And the overall feeling I'm getting is a complete collapse, which was the point. Now, when you look at the psychologist, therapist, mentor, whatever that piece of shit was, you know, the guy with the glasses, go look at the video. Just like skip through Aubrey Marcus's podcast. He's cut off the comment sections because the backlash is fucking massive. These kids, one girl said, she's got like 45,000 people following her on YouTube, saying, my friends, we're really looking at this as a possible. You know the whole thing about all men, okay? Well, many of us in the high priestess community have been really working hard to make sure that this all man concept of attacking the divine masculine isn't thrown in with all your pedestrian men who think from between their root chakra, okay? And so this young woman was talking about how all her girlfriends, I think she said like 2 of them, came to her going, I'm devastated. Like, I thought that him and Vilana, his wife, they were the real thing. Now, Vilana said that even though the door's open for her to have other lovers, she's not interested in having other lovers. So here we go. We're having a divine, we're actually watching the destruction of divine feminine in action. You're actually watching it. You're seeing what is happening to a woman when she loves another human being more than herself. And the whole point of this journey is to love yourself more than you love your divine beloved. And that's not bad, because it's the only way you're going to survive if you survive them. Literally, if they die, what's going to keep you alive and not destroy your zone is the fact that there's a part of you that loves them but loves yourself. Your zone is the fact that there's a part of you that loves them but loves yourself and more. Even that is big. And the manipulation of this mentor psychologist is unhinged. The ripple effect that this is having on the Yeshua Mary Magdalene template, I can't tell you how, in a way, I hope to God you guys see the benefits of this in some level. It's showing in action what these motherfuckers have done for 2,000 years in bearing the Mary Magdalene, Yeshua divine couple code of not just monogamy, but of higher frequency love, of tantric love, of equality, of passions. And I don't mean sexual passion. I mean curiosity about reality, curiosity about dimensional understandings, about reincarnation, about karma. Words that they knew because they studied that shit. Yeshua's lost years was spent studying with the 3 wise men who were messengers. The 3 wise men and where they came from in the East. Remember that story? It's a great little story until you code it out going, holy fuck. And I'm repeating myself. These men came giving Mother Mary the instructions, when he's of age, bring him to us. Each country. And I'll repeat myself. Egypt, India, Tibet. Okay. So, in a way, I don't want you guys to get depressed. And what's making me sad, and I wish I could somehow reach out to these Gen Xers who are really fabulous. They're massive influencers, and they're got massive followings. I wish somehow I could impart the message saying, you are seeing the collapse that has been going on again and again. And it's ripped the hope out of young men and women thinking, well, I thought this was possible, but look, it's a lie. It's not possible. Men will be men, that kind of bullshit. And Aubrey Marcus does say, and I'm bringing that up because I'm a stallion. I need, it's like, fuck. Meanwhile, the therapist is the level of word salad in that whole dialogue, which I skipped through some of the shit, and the way I see Villana, a divine feminine, being literally destroyed, is unhinged. I've never seen anything like that in my life. In action, going on, word by word, play by play. It's quite something. One of the excuses they made is they were on, public service announcement. On a side note, taking too much plant medicine is too much fucking plant medicine. Period. That's it. Okay? Too much is too much. It doesn't make it better. Just because you can afford to do it doesn't mean you should. Just on the side note. On the side note, ayahuasca works through you for a year. Okay? And you don't need to go every fucking month or every 3 months to go see the Great Mother to figure your shit out. You're supposed to get the divine vines in you and work through it in your nervous system, and it will work through you. If you just let it do its work. You don't stack more shit and think that this is a good thing. So the other thing we're seeing in action is that too much is too much. And so I don't know why they're a fan of L-ketamine. I know a lot of people are a fan of it. I'm not, and I'll tell you why I'm not a fan of acid and L-ketamine, because it's made in the fucking lab with people's karmic. You can say, well, but to Tony, what about ayahuasca? It's made by human beings. Yeah, but they're made by shamans. They're made by shamans, not in a lab with fucking people with their little white coats who have all kinds of karmic shit. And they're not doing the proper mantras to make sure that the purity of the medicine comes to you in its pure form. Unlike ayahuasca, for example, or Bufo, or what have you, or Pedro, St. Pedro. So that's that for me on that end. And if you disagree with me, you're welcome to disagree. This is my humble opinion. And I say it with confidence because of what I've found with other people and the difference of experiences. But anyway, so let's go back to Aubrey. So here he is with this weird little creature called their mentor. Now, we couldn't have done it without you. Dude, how could you do that to them, which was my question. And I want you to go deeply and listen to what these two men are saying, because word salad, cult-like behavior, you can have a cult of 3. A cult is a cult is a cult. You can have 3 people in a cult. You can have 4 people in a cult. You can have 20 people in a cult, right? And if you've never paid attention to cults, maybe this is the time to actually understand cult mindset, the hive mentality type of shit that we've seen play out, which can be quite dangerous. Sometimes it's physically dangerous. I'm so glad I'm able to catch your life. It won't be long, but I'm so happy you're here. So my whole agenda, to be honest, for quite some time has been to promote the magic of twin flames, the opportunity that twin flames, burning karma, have for your ascension. Burning karma, flames burning. And how exciting that can be, and how incredibly damaging it is to people who think that in this incarnation they must be with their twin flame. I've seen women, I've said this before, develop cancers, waiting for their divine masculine to wake up or to come to them or to choose them. It's not a joke. And with Villana, and this is a perfect time to talk about it, because we're seeing psychiatrists, psychologists push the polyamor agenda as this is our normal behavior. It's fucking not. And I broke it down in my last live yesterday, which is on my YouTube. Go check it out. I broke it down between polygyny and polyamory. Broke it down, okay? So please go watch that if you're not sure about the differences. There are massive differences. Okay. We are seeing a psyop move again. Teal Swan was part of an MK Ultra situation. Look at her interview with Regina Meredith on Open Minds, which I think aired last year on Gaia.com. This is not conspiracy shit. This is real shit. And even if it was conspiracy theories, conspiracy, something's wrong. Theory, why is something wrong? Let's think about it. Let's theorize. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's not a stupid thing. It's not an insult to be a conspiracy theorist if you're not in psychosis. Okay, let's understand the difference here. And so Teal Swan talks about it. I ended up liking her a little bit more than I did. I think she's brilliant, don't get me wrong. But I do think she still has some psychological fallout that's still there. And it's not her fault. Because you'll hear her story. And please look at the interview. Fuck the documentary on Gaia. It was not that good, to be honest. But the interview was powerful and potent. So MK Ultra, let's go back to MK Ultra. Aubrey Marcus was selling a dream to Gen Xers. And he was lying by omission. And lying by omission is still lying. And I'm not here to attack him, but I'm here to attack him. What does that mean? Any other man, it would have been the same conversation. I've attacked you, Hefner. Why do I attack? Well, because they've damaged people. That's why. They've harmed people with their little agendas, with their little wee-wee in their hands, running around trying to figure out who to stick it in next. I'm just going to say it like that. And then when you look at the mapping of what happened to the story of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, that it took a book by Dan Brown, you know, the Da Vinci Code, stolen from Holy Blood, Holy Grail, those two men that wrote that book, a very scholarly book, on the mapping. And then you mix that with Freddie Silva's book on the Knights Templars, about really why they were attacked on Friday the 13th. It wasn't, sure, the king of France owed them a shitload of money. Yeah. But it was really the Pope that pushed the pedal to the metal on that day. And so he didn't need their money. He had his own money. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't about money. It was about control. It was about power. It was about the template of love, that a masculine and feminine could be equal in God's eyes, that they were valid. And if that was going to fall apart, right, with the truth of their union, it would have changed. It would have fucking ripped down the curtains. It would have been like the Wizard of Oz, ripping down the curtain of illusion. Okay? And so, to be honest, Marcus Aubrey is a messenger of the bullshit that has been going on for 2,000 years. Why? Because, again, going back to the Gen Xers, these kids are coming to each other going, what the fuck? I thought this was possible. I thought this was it is possible, my young friend. It is. There are many of us who have had these wonderful unions. It is possible. And what is damaging about that is that now people are going to become cynical. And that's the agenda. Because when you're cynical, you are in fear of being harmed. Cynicism isn't intelligence. It's fear wrapped in a word, wrapped in a consciousness. Oh, I can't believe that. Well, I mean, it's not logical. It's not possible. Men will be men. Love like that doesn't exist. It's a fairy tale. And that's damaging. Because it fractures the divine union of a masculine and feminine. It fractures it. And why is that important? Because it's about a divide and conquer through race, religion, and gender love. And the divine love of the yin and yang in action. Not a little symbol, you know, black and white, oh how nice, you know, a little symbol I'm going to wear on my neck. An actual symbol, if you want to call it a sigil, if you will, right? But in action, beat by heartbeat, destroyed. And so when I look at that little man, I'm telling you, please watch the interview. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Fucking, I didn't. I couldn't take it. I wanted to vomit in my mouth, okay? I'm just going to say it. Because I'm seeing Vilana, his wife, literally trying to hold on. And so he did L-ketamine, I think, or something like that. And it told him that he even says, I went into a dark place, the divine temple of Isis. Well, now we're looking at psychosis in fucking action. Why? Because the guy is not a fucking frequency match, or else he'd fucking mastered and disciplined his root chakra. His little pee-pee would be in higher frequency. Okay, guys? He wouldn't be talking about, I'm a stallion. You know? No. he'd be totally harnessing his shit. And so when you take medicines, I caution you. This is why I say the four corners above and below. Saging yourself, preparing the room, maybe even doing some sound frequency for yourself before you go all in. This is not a party fucking moment. So he was told to impregnate them both. So whatever the medicine says, and L-ketamine, in my opinion, is not, and you might hate me for that. Some of you might have actually been saved by it. God bless you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this situation. Okay? And there's been a lot more data with the benefits of mushrooms, but not L-CAD so far, because I see people fucking getting fractured from that shit as well. But not psilocybin at all. You know why? Because there's something about it, and it's beneath our feet. If you don't understand fungi, watch the documentary Fungi. It is a must. And then watch the documentary with Joe Rogan called DMT, the God Molecule. These are all documentaries you should watch. And you'll have a lot of respect. And then after that, go Psychedelia with Ben Stewart. Study this shit, man. Don't just listen to these fucking gurus. My twin used to call them gurus, not gurus, gurus, meaning that you're full of shit, okay? And Aubrey Marcus, if you're looking at it from the right spiritual standpoint, is doing us a favor. Because now we're seeing the psyop in action. If you don't believe me, watch the movie Men Who Stared Goats with George Clooney. This shit is controlled by certain nefarious agencies. I'll just say, like that. I'll keep myself clean here. Because to have a divine masculine and feminine, I know this for a fact. I know this in myself in action when my divine masculine and I walked together on this planet, together at the same time. We would manifest shit that was insane. Insane. And I did a video 2 years ago about how when divine feminine and masculines are calling it the twin flame, twin ray, that they are magicians and high priestesses in action to manifest the impossible. And this is not something I made up because of my own situation, my own life with my divine consort, but also I heard so many people go, yes. Look at the comments on that video. It's unhinged. Everyone said, oh yeah, oh my God, yes. We've done this and that and the other. So we're dangerous. I posed the question, why was Yeshua and Mary Magdalene dangerous? Because they threw away the polygyny, not polyamory, polygyny system. Because they showed that not only that a woman had brains, that a woman was valid, that a woman could be an apostle. In fact, she was the first apostle. And that together they kept igniting light codes of ascension within each other, from being intimate with each other, from having discussions, from doing pranayama, breathing exercises together, from just simply being and eating together and laughing together, and discussing higher points of views and challenging each other, right? And this is dangerous. Because you see, 5D doesn't come on the heels of a war. It comes on the heel of a higher consciousness. Does that make sense? We don't have to lift a sword. We don't have to lift a pencil. We don't have to write, blog, vlog. We just change our consciousness and turn our backs on their bullshit. Game over. Checkmate. And that's it. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of you coming into union with your beloved. And sometimes you are given another beloved, but the frequency match is so potent, right? It might not be your twin, but it's a high-level soulmate. And the frequency is so potent that it's powerful. And it's valid. In other words, don't get it in your head there's only one way. No, there's multiple doorways to this. Okay? And you have to honor yourself and honor what is possible. Some of you have more than one twin. We've talked about this before. And so this is what you need to look at. The Aubrey system that we're looking at collapse in front of you. And trust me, that video that he did, that blog, whatever the fuck it is, podcast, he actually, no comments are allowed. So guess what? Being me, because that's who I am, I wrote a comment on one of his other videos. And yeah, I fucking went after him. Why? Because who the fuck are you, my friend, to coin yourself as a divine masculine? It's funny because I have a friend who just texted me going, I stopped listening to him a year ago. And I said to her, I never listened to him because sometimes it's not good to judge a book by its cover, but sometimes it's not a bad idea. You look at the eyes of a human being, you go, oh yeah, no, done. And this is important because sometimes it can save you time, it can save your life. We are so being pushed to, I just don't want to judge. One of the Gen Xers do a video says, I'm not here to judge. No, fuck, bitch, you better judge because this is a judgment moment. Discernment, no judging. Judge. It's okay to judge. I like ice cream. Which kind? Strawberry. Oh, but what do you discern? Strawberry ice cream or chocolate ice cream? No, my preference is this. Why are we afraid of making judgment calls on a dime? If you're wrong, you can repair it. If you're right, it could save you a lot of grief. Why are we afraid of words that evoke a sense of power? And why is 1984 in terms of the concept of sense of power? And why is 1984 in terms of the concept of I never wanted to read 1984 until I was pushed by two friends who said, you've got to read this book. I'm like, my mind can't fucking handle another fucking manipulation psyop. Read the fucking book. I'm like reading it going, oh, fuck. We're in that. Okay? We're actually going through that right now. Right now in social media, when we use the word unalivened instead of the proper word. When we use the word unaliven themselves, or when we use the word grape and we actually use the symbol of grapes for something that is absolutely the most horrific thing you can do to a human being, man or woman. You can do to a human being, man or woman. So Aubrey Marcus almost feels like an implant from nefarious forces. And so oh yeah, my love, my perfect. We married 2 weeks after we met because we took this medicine. I'm noticing that the people are doing way too much fucking play, meaning way too much medicine. Way, where it's taking him from on the other side of the wrong side of the street. Medicine is an ally. It's not your guru. It's not your all. What it does is it fucking blasts whatever remnants of your 3D monkey mind really structured and clinging to a buoy that's sinking. That's what it's for. It's not to fucking direct every move. So let's go back to Aubrey. So Aubrey had an amazing experience with Vilana and Lana. This is the third party girl who probably is going to look back on this in her 40s and write a book about this shit show. I'm sure she'll wake up at some point. But they had an amazing connection with her on their journeys, and they were being directed. Not every soul you meet do you have to fuck. And it's something they both don't understand. Especially Aubrey. Just because you have a wild, incredible kumbaya spiritual moment taking on the wings of whatever medicine you've partaken doesn't mean that this is the person you're supposed to be with. What it means is that you have a soul connection. It's probably one of your soul tribe members. And you have to ask yourself, are we supposed to be? I mean, you have to multiple meditation. This should have taken months before he even thought, probably a year before he even considered being intimate with this kid, Alana, whatever. And they turned it into a sexual energy instead of a spiritual alignment. I've met people who are amazing, but I'm not going to jump into bed with them. I've met people who are my soul tribe members. There's no doubt, male and female. I'm not about to go into intimate levels with them because that's not what's happening in this incarnation. And we sexualize everything. Because remember, he wasn't single. He was married. He's married. And I'm not trying to say that as maybe the marriage is over. Maybe it was a good idea for Valana to go, I think we're done here. Enjoy Alana. Well, I guess our soul contract is done here. But the clinging, the pain, the harm is unhinged. And the doctor, whatever the fuck his name is, I forgot his name. I don't remember people's names who I don't respect. Aubrey Marcus, I have to give you this name. I had to remember the name because you wouldn't know who I'm talking about. So, but this doctor, you'll watch him with his little glasses and his little grandiose word salad, diarrhea of the mouth. It's weird. I just wonder if you're 27 years old. I'm just thinking to myself, if I was 27 years old, would I be sitting there to this? No, I wouldn't. These young Gen Xers have been so, what's the word? They're amazing people, don't get me wrong. But there's a part of them that have been trained by social media to be so politically correct that they don't even know when they're spewing word salad. Because what I've been seeing a pattern with these Gen Xers talking about the reveal of Aubrey Marcus's real soul, right? Real darkness, and his sexual deviancy and his sexual needs that are so above his spiritual needs. There's a monk that I keep thinking of, he's actually beautiful to look at, beautiful face. You've seen him. He does all these incredible, he gets interviewed sometimes and he'll talk these amazing soliloquies of wisdoms that are so amazing. They're like, I'm blown away by him. I save some of his videos because he's mind-blowing. So you have a divine masculine like that, who I'm assuming has chosen the celibate path. And then you have this guy, Marcus Aubrey, who basically is a shyster. And so they've revealed it because I guess in public and when he does speaking engagements, he'll still have his cult followers. Don't get me wrong. He'll have people with a cultish mindset, the hive mentality, and they'll support him and think, oh my God, maybe I should explore that with my partner, which is the whole point, fracturing family. So now that he took the medicine, whatever medicine it was, I think it was ketamine, but anyway. And he's decided that since he went into the dark bowels of, the minute you realize that you're going into a dark place, that isn't temple shit. I'm going to just tell you something that I've experienced in my own meditations. I remember meditating and I was on a beach and the sky was black and there was a rainbow unicorn horse and I could see myself being watched and I went, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this. And it was showing me a dimension and a planet I could be on. But I felt heavy in my heart, heavy. It felt sticky. And I immediately said, we're not doing this. And so this was a corrupted download. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it felt dark. So here Marcus talks about going into the inner sanctum of Isis temples and it's dark. I've noticed that when we go into these higher realms, it's light. It's the colors are very bright, very beautiful. It feels incredibly uplifting. And the colors are very bright, very beautiful. It feels incredibly uplifting. And he was told by God knows what voice, probably if, it was telepathic, obviously, that he needed to impregnate them both. Do you understand what I just said? Impregnate them both. Do you really think that they're going to attract the right souls? And I'm not joking when I say that. What kind of souls do you think are going to be attracted to this situation? Because in the Vedic system, When you want to procreate a child, every day you meditate before you make love to your partner. And every day, it was my twin that told me that when I was 18 years old. He was 33. I'll never forget. I love that about the Vedic system. He said, and so you meditate and you're mindful, and you, of course, you enjoy the intimacy. Of course, you forget. At that point, you're wrapped into each other's glow. But he said, but you are going to attract a divine soul, a high vibrational soul. That's the whole point. And so, do you really think that's what he's attracting? He's actually playing out the polygyny system under, what are they called? Monogamous polyamory. It's like, but, and this is where they were stepping in dog shit constantly, but they're allowed to have sex with other people. How is that a monogamous polyamory? Explain that to me like I'm 12. So the confusion that's being created in the Gen X community breaks my heart. It actually really does. Because I want you to know, young women and ladies, and gentlemen and masculines, that love exists. It's in you. You are the container of that love, and the frequency match of that love will attract you like a magnet to your divine partner. And your divine partner, unfortunately, may have, or you may have, a lot of shadows and darkness and things you need to, clear. However, it's there. It's there for the taking. You can call on it. Maybe you will not meet your divine partner until your 30s, and here's why. Maybe it would be good for you to call in your divine partner with the qualities that you want. He's monogamous. She's monogamous. You make each other laugh like crazy. You have such a good time. You push each other to grow. The sex is tantric and fantastic, and it's passionate and it's fun. I remember working when I first moved in, and me and my twin were living together. We lived together for years. We would wake up with our hands intertwined, and we would laugh softly in the early morning. The sun would rise, and we would just, no one else in the house, just us, because it was our house, right? And we would whisper and say things to each other in whispering tones, because we honored the sun rising, I guess, and the quiet space. And we'd laugh. We would wake up laughing. And that was the nectar to the soul. And it's possible. It's there for the taking. It's there. And the infrastructure and the situation and our cultural dominance in the porn mentality, that what I call the Playboy mansion toxicity, that has been normalized to fracture the divine feminine and masculine, is why I started getting very much involved with the Yeshua and Mary Magdalene love code, the template. And it is a template. And that template was buried. It was buried so that they could shame women. They could literally shame women, lobotomize their passions, lobotomize their voices, and absolutely destroy them so that men would see them as cattle. That was the whole point. It's always been the point. And I can say with some level of obviously regret, and I've forgiven myself since then, obviously, that I was a man in those little timelines where I know of one for real, where I literally subjugated a woman I loved. So I know this about myself. So don't think because you're a woman, don't think you weren't a man in some past lives, beating the shit out of a woman or treating her like shit or whatever, or controlling her and what have you. Okay? Like, don't ever forget you've been a man many, many times. And you men who get like knee-jerk reaction and defensive when I say that, remember, you've been a woman that's been subjugated. So, I mean, we should all be on the same page at this point. If we are truly spiritually awake as a people, right? Everything I'm saying, you should not take personally. You should say, okay, right, let me roll up my sleeves and let me figure out what I can do as a divine masculine who's self-aware. And a woman should do the same. What can I do to advocate for the divine masculines out there? Because they're out there. There are some gorgeous men, and you don't have to be gorgeous to be valid. Okay, when I say that, I'm saying there are men who could fucking get laid within an hour, and women who get laid. It's not hard to get laid within an hour. Okay, I'm not joking. It is not difficult. Case in point, I saw a guy with a microphone coming up to women going, "You want to do it now?" And women going, "Yeah, where?" Didn't even know the person's name. So it's not difficult. But they've chosen celibacy. Why? Because they don't want to choose half-assed relationships anymore. They want something real. Some of them are aware that they have problems with the feminine. They've been fucked over by the feminine. And I'm going to give you advice. You men out there, you're always going for damsel in distress. Stop fucking doing that shit. Because what's interesting is that the women who are really powerful, who actually could use you, in other words, who could use your love and all of that, they're always going to look independent. They're always going to look like they know what the fuck they're doing because they're not dumb. I'm sorry. But the irony is they're also looking for a divine consort. Meanwhile, you guys are running around with, bimbos, I'm just going to say, who are, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And they're like damsel in distress. And that's not okay. That's not okay. Okay? You've got to look at whispering is the love language. Yes. So, does that make sense? So that's where I'm at with this conversation about, so try to spread the word with your friends who are running to you going, oh my God, it's a fake. It's a lie. It will never happen. And just try to tell him, no. He was always a lie, okay? He was always full of shit. We have been putting people on a pedestal for no reason, okay? The only reason I'm going to bring up Abraham Hicks, Esther, and Jerry Hicks is because it looks to me, right, if I'm correct, that they had something while they were both incarnated here. And now that Jerry is gone on the other side of the veil, she channels Jerry. So they're bonded, and I've talked many times about them. I'm not a fan of cruises. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I don't think I'll ever do a Tony Robbins or a Abraham Hicks cruise retreat because I hate noise. I fucking hate noise. I'm more likely to go with Dr. Joe Dispenza and do their quiet, the meditation, the electrodes on your brain, mapping the brain. Like, that's more my scene. But in terms of rah, ha, yeah, I can't. However, that's not to take away from, for example, Esther Hicks' connection with Jerry to this day. And I don't know if she's still with someone or not. But another example would be of Iman and David Bowie. No matter what you think of David Bowie personally, as a man, he went through every single thing you can imagine that a masculine would go through. He became, in my book, my humble opinion, he became the archetype of the masculine journey out of the dark night of the soul. Meaning, he went through every drug you can imagine. He was bisexual. He did everything you could fucking imagine. And then, no offense, hopefully you don't take offense, he cleaned up. And once he was done with these journeys of addiction and sexual promiscuity and all of the things that went into it, boom, he was ready to meet Iman. And it was love at first sight. Boom, there he was. So what am I saying? Well, Iman to this day says, I'm not a widow. I'm still married to David Bowie. She is, you can see the grief in the woman's face because it's done something to her face. She's still a beautiful woman, but it aged her. And I don't think she's surrounded by the right people telling her the right things so she could connect. Hopefully she's going to meet the right people to tell her you can still have this relationship in a real, beautiful, sensuous way. Intimate way. You can still do the work and prepare yourself for when you drop your body, what's going to be your next adventure with your beloved on another planet, in another realm, and so on. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm actively doing to share a little bit about my journey as, when a divine masculine is no longer walking beside you. So Aubrey is not as bad as it should be. Excuse me. Aubrey is showing us the absolute deviancy of masculines who've been coining themselves high value men. And if you listen to some of these guys in their late 40s, early 50s or whatever, these quote unquote high value men are high value frauds. And this is a problem. Excuse me. Too much sage. But anyway, so hopefully this makes sense, And you need to really keep your fucking cool. Okay? My Gen X sisters and brothers, keep your cool. Keep your shit together. This is not your story. It's their story. And on that panel, when you watch it from Transcendental Eyes. You're seeing two manipulating masculines. I'm calling it out. Sorry, calling it out. These are two assholes. Alana is completely, I don't know what her story is. I'm watching her going, I don't know. I'm not seeing any affect. I'm seeing Valana having a lot of emotions, like a storm ripping through her. And she's not okay. And I'm going to make a prediction. If she's not on anti-fucking depression farm shit, little pills, happy pills, by the end of this year, I'll eat my hat. If she's not already on some shit. Okay? And that's going to fuck up her third eye and shit like that. And that won't, I don't know if how she's going to come out of it. I don't see good things for her. And if she's not ready, the fact that he's using, and this is very, I'm going to say straight up ghetto, it's ghetto mentality, that he wants to impregnate these two women to make sure they're locked in, loaded. Locked in. Keep them barefoot and pregnant. I'm not joking. These are old, disgusting templates being played out as we speak. Oh, I got the message from Isis Temple in the dark to impregnate them, and I got the message twice. Your little monkey mind is playing tricks with you, my friend. My little Aubrey, my little 12-year-old boy in a grown man's body. Wake the fuck up. That's your monkey mind talking. And the fact that you can't discern because you've been doing too much play on the medicines, the fact that you can't honestly see that, and then you look at the mentor. When you look at the mentor that they have, this little twerp sitting there with his little eyeglasses and acting like he's so wise, and he's a complete deviant a template that has created this situation for the last at least 3,000 years. At least. And the way, and I've talked about it in 3 of my lives, there's one live on the Divine Feminine being torn down. You can look at it on my YouTube and you'll see it. It's all the images that are important on this subject that I'm talking about, the template of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. You'll see images of them, images I've created on AI of them. So you'll be able to find it. But the destruction of the Divine Feminine High Priestess, Goddess, Mother, whatever you want to call her, right, has been the only reason why the deviant patriarchy rose. They needed to tear down the Divine Feminine for the patriarchy to become what it's become, which is a barbaric system. I mean, let's be honest. Which is a barbaric system. I mean, let's be honest. It's barbaric. That's why people make comments, if every woman was a leader, and I don't agree to that either, by the way, just because Margaret Thatcher is a good example of what not to be as a female leader. Look at what happened with Bobby Sands and the Irish who fasted and she didn't give one fuck. She became known as Bloody Mary. So not all women are good as leaders, but if we could have, I mean, so no matter what you believe on some of these women, not all women have a nurturing capabilities. Not all women would be great nurturing leaders, but we can say that amongst the pedestrian class, which I'm included in 99%, that most women have a nurturing heart. And if they were leaders, yeah, we probably wouldn't have the shit show going on as we do. I will say that. Look at the template. Look at what you're being shown. Do not take it as a message from these pieces of shit that you will never find your divine love. Realize that it's a psyop move. I don't know how. I fucking don't. And I'm not in, and I have my own ideas, but I can't say them here. I can't say them anywhere unless you and I were face to face. Believe me, I have very specific ideas. So when I say I don't know how to say it in code. That would even be fucking clear. And I'm not trying to be coy at all. I'm trying to protect my channel. Just to be blunt, actually. So I know it's a psyop move. And I know why. And I kind of explained it to you as to why. One of my little 54-minute, I keep saying that, 54-second videos, I think it's even 45 seconds, says why? Why were they feared? Why was it hidden? Why? What the fuck Why? Why? And I talked about Pope Joan. We had a pope, and a lot of people will argue the point. There's no data to that. There's data. There's data on Pope Joan. We had a pope, a female, on the 9th century. This is known. And I keep bringing that up again and again because that's an important fact that's been buried alive. Another story, buried alive. The Pope's chair, which is in one of the movies, one of the TV shows, The Borgias, the Pope's chair, when the family jewels are, fondled, not fondled, but tested for, that chair was created after Pope Joan because they wanted to make sure, are you really a man? This is a real thing. Are you really a man? Because we're not going to do this again. So that chair is now been, and it's something that they do. I don't know if they still do it today, but I would imagine that some ceremonies are still going on, to give you an idea. So why is this all important? Because we need to understand how we're being manipulated to be on the lower level of our own frequency. And so now what you're finding is that you have a choice to co-create when you need to co-create in your own energetic field. And what you believe becomes true. That's what's so dangerous about the Gen Xers doing their videos. I love that they're doing their videos. They're deconstructing what happened with Aubrey Marcus and Villana. But there's grief in their hearts. There's grief in their belief about love, about true love being around. Because what they really want, the powers that be, they really want women to keep thinking bear in the woods. And if they can get 100% of women to go with the 4B movement and the bear in the woods agenda and all of that, don't get me wrong. Some of the bear in the woods comments are fucking valid. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and go, oh yeah, if I saw a man in the woods alone, I wouldn't be fucking, my heart would jump in my throat. Hello. Why do you think I have big dogs? But my point to you is that that's a sad truth. That divine masculines and divinity need to actually be a part of the voice of reason, of advocacy to us, to tell men, back the fuck off. I did a whole video on that as well. Marcus Aubrey is just your regular male piece of shit with a lot of money who now can afford 2 bitches on the payroll. He's no different than fucking Andrew Tate. Except Andrew Tate, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate, okay? Don't get it twisted. He has 10 bitches on the payroll. This one's got 2 now. And you can say, well, Villana has her own money. I know, but she is like totally mentally brainwashed. Don't you see that? And then the psychologist Muppet over there is literally fucking with her head. Because I can tell you, if it was a woman psychologist, 9 times out of 10, she would have ripped Marcus and you know what? I can't think of any feminine psychologist that would say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Go ahead and do that. Maybe there's a few on the planet, maybe. But the average psychologist, a feminine psychologist would say, this is, what the fuck are you doing? Especially seeing Villana choking back tears, choking her emotions, eating up her emotions, and trying to be as high frequency as she can and just literally stripping away her true sense of who she is, of what she needs. And in one particular scene, you see her saying, I'm giving you more. I'm going to paraphrase it very badly, but essentially she's saying, I'm giving her more. I'm giving you more. You've loved me, but I love you, and I know you need this and you want this, right? And so I want to give it to you. What does the Muppet psychologist said? Yes, it's kind of like, in my bar mitzvahs when families will say, we'll look at, tit for tat, like you gave me a $7 gift. So when I come into your bar mitzvah, I'll give you a $7 gift. And it's not like that. It's supposed to be, sometimes you do give more. It's not supposed to be, what do I get for this? That's some serious word salad. That's some serious word salad, because a true template of divine love is balance. Yes, sometimes one is going through something harder and you're going to take up the slack. Absolutely, there's a seesaw effect. But for the most part, both parties involved in a relationship try to balance the scales. Do people overgive? Yes. And at some point, they need to have a hard discussion, a very difficult discussion. Saying, listen, I'm holding the fucking reins here, and I'm tired. I'm getting blisters. My hands are breaking. I need you to take over the reins. I need you to balance out this situation. This feels unbalanced to me. And the response should not be fucking defensive. It should be, I don't feel it that way, if you disagree, but let's discuss it further. It shouldn't fall into silent treatments and shouting matches. But it most likely it does, to be honest. And why? Well, because there's the pressure of the infrastructure we live in. The shouting matches are saying, I want you to agree with me now. I don't have time. I have to go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't have time for this to settle into us for weeks. I need to know the answer now, which is a frustration built on urgency because of the infrastructure of timelines of working for a living, pay to play. And so it's pushing people to not have the time to massage these ideas that are very volatile, number one, to create a sense of balance that would take time to philosophize this particular problem on the table. You see what I'm saying? Philosophize this particular problem on the table. You see what I'm saying? Movie, with porn, with addictions, whatever, because we want to get off the hamster wheel of more pressures. It's normal. All of what I've said is normal. And so you need to back away from a volatile situation. Realize that your infrastructure system isn't supporting your ability to philosophize, to understand each other, and to understand yourselves in this moment, to create something that's going to be valid. And that is a problem. This is why our infrastructure is not a match to the divine template. But we can, as a people, start invoking, manifesting. I kid you not, in your meditations, 5D. When people say, well, I want blah, 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 I go, if you manifest 5D, all your problems will be gone. I'm not joking, because there'll be a balance. We'll have communities that are a match to your frequency, your particular frequency, not someone else's. And all of the starseed tribes will gather in the right frequency tribe villages, if you will, for the lack of a better word to express it. And that's something that we need to understand. Your money problems are gone. 5D, 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 5D. New Earth, New Earth, New Earth. And what does it mean? It means you need to get there. And 5D is not, how am I going to say this? It's not a match to self-aggrandizement agendas. What that means is that 5D is more of Ubuntu energy. If you're hurting, it's a South African saying, Ubuntu is, if you're hurting, we're hurting too. We need to know how to make you feel good. We need to make sure you feel safe in our community. And why is that possible? Because people have time. Because the rat race is no longer part of that frequency. It's disappeared. Poof, it's gone. So to be honest, this debacle is, yes, I do read for Twin Flames. I actually do. You'll see that on my website if you go on my Linktree profile. But does that make sense? I coach Twin Flames. And I coach, I've actually discovered twin rays in my practice of reading. I do Akashic readings for clients, and I also do hypnotherapy. I'm internationally registered hypnotherapist through the Michael Newton method. But so my point to you is you need to really regroup. Try to spread the word with your Gen Xers and your millennials that Aubrey Marcus is not the template of the divine union. He's the template of the old patriarchy of polygyny turned into polyamory, and it's a shit show, and it's not your shit show. Don't make that shit show your shit show. That's really basically your takeaway. Just say, oh, wow, another guru, a guru that's full of shit. Oh, okay, great. Move on. Just move the fuck on. It's like Moji, same thing. He's full of shit. Osho, full of shit. So, I mean, don't feel like you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to believe in. Believe in fucking yourself, my friend. Believe in yourself. Believe in your community, or build one. Believe that that many of us just want what you want. I just had a talk with a gentleman and a wonderful woman who's a healer in her own right. She's a powerful Reiki master. And trust me, I saw her picture and I went, holy fuck. Yeah, sometimes you do judge a book by its cover. Sometimes you shouldn't judge. I've seen like little masters. I mean, like they're 5'3" and they're skinny. Little masters, right? Who know jujitsu or whatever. And they will kick the fuck out of someone who's 6'4" and 250 pounds of muscle. So yeah, sometimes it's not a good idea to judge that book by its cover. But sometimes you get a hit. You're like, yeah, okay. As a matter of fact, if someone that size is not afraid of you and not running from you, you may want to fucking call it a day and not even engage in that little battle, because you're definitely going to lose, right? So sometimes it's not a good idea to judge in a hit. But I remember watching Marcus. I'm just going to call him Marcus because I hate his first name. Marcus, I saw him in, I would scroll by different types of, fucking minutes of talks. And there are a few men who are in that same group. I'll put in that same group. And they call themselves, those guys that call themselves high value men and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys are such arrogant fucks. It's fucking, and the guys that really are fantastic are quietly doing their work. Humility is a sign of true high value. It is. And arrogance, and there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Arrogance is a sign of fear and a denied self-loathing. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry. because arrogance is a pushy, bullying energy, and confidence is saying, oh, you don't agree. Oh, okay, why don't you agree? Or what is that? And that doesn't mean you can't put foot to ass when someone like disagrees in word salad logic, right? You're taking a situation and turning it into what I call pretzel logic. Oh, that's fucking logical. And then sometimes you're fucking wrong, and you have to say, right? Oh, I fucked up. I'm wrong. And you want to admit to being wrong. Why? Because you're not infallible as a human being. You're not. I don't care how brilliant you are. No one's infallible. I'm definitely not infallible, that's for sure. But none of us are, and that's okay. I mean, you have to understand that we are dealing with some serious shit in this density called 3D. It's very intense. Our little brains and the monkey mind and the false ego and all the shit, and yet, and I'm just going to give you kudos, and yet in spite of that, you're still fucking trying to hack out of this bullshit system. Bravo to you. We're doing our best. And our best sometimes is very good. And the universe will meet us halfway to say, baby, I know you need a buoy right now. Let me help you out. And that's just how it goes. Okay. Anyway, I got to go. I have a reading to do in about a few minutes. But I want to thank you all for being here. I will upload this video. This, again, is a beautiful picture, in my opinion, of the divine template of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene in their wedding day. And the joy, the ease, you should have tears in your eyes. Why would they destroy that? Why would they take that away from us? To control us, to subjugate us, to divide and conquer the divine feminine from the divine masculine. And I keep mentioning certain movies because I want you to check them out and look at these movies once again through transcendental eyes, and you will start realizing how we've been played for a long 3,000 years at least. All right, sending you much love on your journey. Namaste, be well.